Hey, welcome to Leaders with Leverage. I'm Susie, and I'm so happy to be here. This is kind of a fun episode. Well, this will be a fun episode. My friend, Joanna Wiesinger, I just realized I don't say my friends' last names very often, but she's joining me today, and we are both grandparents. It's kind of funny to say that. Isn't that funny, Joanne? That we're
Very
at that stage of life.
surreal.
That's a good. But we both are leadership coaches, and Joanna, I'd love for you to tell everybody a little bit about you. But we met through some strengths summits. Our very first interaction was on the bus on the way to a conference. That was super fun. And now you work with teams and you do executive coaching. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to jump into how leadership is directly related to bringing to little kids.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited for us to do that. Yes. So I have a coaching consulting firm called Thrive with Strengths, where we help leaders and their teams thrive and make better contributions by leveraging their strengths. So in essence, we help teams team better by focusing on what they do best without wasting their effort on their weaknesses. I am a Gallup certified strengths coach, just as you are. I'm a recovering PhD chemist and a TEDx speaker. So we have many things in common other than chemistry.
Or a PhD.
But to your point, I often say that in my off time, when I'm not working, my favorite thing to do is to be JoJo to my granddaughter Sophia and to spot Sophia's superpowers, because she's already bringing some amazing contributions to the world, and hence our little talk today.
Yes. So we were inspired to, I've noticed that as a grandparent, like going back to being really intentional when I'm with her, and even just how I approach my relationship with her. And you and I were talking about that, and Sophia is a little bit older than my granddaughter, so you're a little bit ahead, but you actually put together some things that you really associated to time with her and how that relates to leadership. So there's 6 of them, and I thought it'd just be really fun for you to share each one of those with us, and then we'll kind of talk about each one as you go.
Absolutely. Thanks for giving me a moment to reflect and make these connections. This has been a thread in the back of my mind since Sophia was born, because I was noticing certain similarities between raising this little child and leadership. So the first one, the headline there is "Be playful." Being playful does not come naturally to me. It also doesn't come naturally to many leaders. Mm-hmm. We often approach the decisions that are in front of us with some weightiness. I was reminded of that as I was talking to an executive who was facing a career decision, and I heard the weightiness in her words until we stumbled on that phrase, maybe there's room for you to be a little bit more playful.
Yeah.
When I give a toy to Sophia, I remember the first time we handed her a fork. She didn't use that fork as a fork. It was a comb. It was, she was drumming with it. She was doing so many beautiful out of the box things that maybe were triggering me a little at first, right?
Yeah.
Because I had a set way that it had to be used. And yet it was such a beautiful, curious, and joyful way of approaching problem solving.
Yeah, I think that is so good. And when I think about leaders that I work with too, we don't typically say, what would bring you joy? Mm-hmm. And when you use strengths, being playful with that lens can help you get there a little bit easier. Because when you think about what comes naturally to you, those are the places that feel ease and excellence. But being playful is a good way to also frame it for people.
Yeah, particularly because, and again, if I think of my conversation with that executive, the reason why that phrase, being playful in her decision, why that resonated with her, was because she was already standing on a body of proof that she knows how to make good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a life and death.
Yeah.
That lighthearted aspect can absolutely play into it.
Awesome.
Number 2, focus on strong, not wrong. At the heart of strengths-based leadership, you and I know, is shining the spotlight on what comes to us with ease, excellence, and enjoyment, rather than what's missing, right? Or what hasn't been put in. That's a leadership myth that is not serving us well. I think of the time when Sophia was starting to come downstairs. So she was just crawling and she was learning how to come downstairs, which of course can be a big safety factor, safety hazard. And so her parents would say, Sophia, feet first. Sophia, I liked how you crawled with your feet first rather than with your head or your hands. Shining the spotlight on the type of behavior they wanted to see from her, right? That simple idea of shifting from don't run to walk, please. For leaders, the relevance there is, as a leader, we need to ask ourselves the question, what type of culture do we want to build on our teams within our organizations? And then shine the spotlight on those things.
Yeah.
I was working with a leader for whom was very important that her team said hello first thing in the morning, that everyone on the team had kind of this friendly, spark of joy, spark of energy interaction. Well, that wasn't happening on her team until she started modeling it, until she started saying, hey, Susie, the way you came in this morning and said hi to me, that is exactly what I needed on this dreary Tuesday morning. Right?
Yeah.
So focus on what's strong, not wrong. What would you add to that, Susie?
When you were saying that, it made me think around leadership and how it's easier to just tell people what to do. But when you were saying feet first, it reminded me of even little tweaks to your language. Instead of why did this happen? What would you do differently? And so that gets people's mindset the right way, so that they're doing it in a strength way, and not, not that it's wrong, but it's just a more gracious way of saying the same thing and getting people to really think about it so that they understand why feet first, if you will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Our third one is express your needs. If you've been around any baby, any toddler, we all know how good they are at letting us know what they need. Food, playtime, diaper change, what have you. And Sophia, she's at 16 months. She's just starting to develop her language, but really most of the time, she doesn't have words that you and I would understand. And yet I know exactly what it is that she needs. And what's the beauty of that? She lets me know, and then I can come alongside and help her thrive and be safe and have a beautiful little day as she's learning and growing. I think as leaders, we need to be mindful of two things. One, we need to get really good at being clear on our expectations, our needs, our contributions, and also come alongside our people and say, hey, what do you need from me so that you can be at your best?
Oh, that's so good. And it's right in line with my lens on that, is really advocating for yourself, and in a way that creates opportunities. People don't live in your mind. They don't live in your head. And so being able to express what you do well, what you want to do, what different experiences you want to have, allow people, you're giving them an easy pass to understanding where to put you. And so articulating that, I worked with a woman who, I was talking about this very thing, and she's in her 60s, and she said that she was up for a job offer and she told them what she wanted. She countered them, and she goes, they didn't even flinch. And you could almost see like her life flash before her eyes of all the times she didn't ask. And so, to that point about expressing your needs, like you said, clear expectations, knowing what they need, and being able to tell them how to manage up to you. Those are
Mhm.
not taking the time is such a missed opportunity.
Absolutely. Give them the cheat sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to set aside again that myth that when we do that, we're needy. There's a big difference
Yeah.
between being needy and expressing our needs in a way that's not entitled, and yet it's clear.
Awesome. That's
Mhm.
great.
Celebrate the wins. Sophia started to walk around 14, 15 months. Every little step she took,
Hmm.
she would clap for herself. She would pump her fist. She would look at the room and say, hey, where's my applause? Let's go. I'm doing something very special. I think I keep going back to that statistic that says that 61% of employees did not receive even 1 point of recognition, were not recognized at all
Wow.
last year. As leaders, we have to do better.
Mm-hmm.
One, back to your point that you like to drive so much, which is let's be our own advocates. Let's
Mm-hmm.
cheer ourselves on. Let's remind ourselves of our successes, because there is a key there to cracking the code to our future
Mm-hmm.
successes. And also, let's do better celebrating the people in our lives
Mm-hmm.
in a way that's personalized and specific and well deserved.
Yeah.
Right?
It doesn't have to be huge.
Mm-mm.
It can just be taking that space to go, that I really appreciated that. Or even thinking through, one thing I tell leaders is think through your day and who you're meeting with on your team, and reflect on, just for a few minutes, what they've been doing, so that in those moments you can provide that context to your appreciation for their contribution, so that it doesn't go unnoticed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Focused, frequent, future oriented. If you see it, say it. Yeah, I think we can all do much better. And little Sophia's clapping and pumping of her fist inspires me to do better in this area. My next point is react. Don't overreact.
Hmm.
Um, I remember a few moments where Sophia either kind of tumbled down a few stairs or, fell down, scraped her knee. And at that stage, as a first time grandma, what came out of me was this gasp of, right? Which immediately this little human reacted to my
Hmm.
reaction
Absolutely.
and I could see the fear in her, on her face, right? Or the sadness, which kind of permission granted to maybe even have a meltdown. When my reaction is that of calmness,
Hmm.
of, coming alongside saying, I see you fell down and also you're okay. It changes everything. I think as leaders, we have the privilege of bringing a certain type of energy to our team, a calming presence. And it absolutely back, of course, to my strengths-based leadership approach. It's defined by our innate talents and strengths. And we have to be mindful of it.
Mm.
What else would you add?
Yeah, it made me think. It's funny, I have such a another counter like look at it. It also makes me think about how as leaders we get used to this regular cadence of things that we do. And like you said, don't overreact. Be mindful of how you react in the moment, and if you need to adjust that. And my example would be, I watched a team, very senior team, um, start to go through an exercise that they were going to map out influence, and it really struck me that their leader picked up the marker and got up on the whiteboard, and I thought, wow, what a missed opportunity, where if he would have just paused and had somebody else on the team take the marker, it gives somebody the opportunity to step up. And sometimes as
Mhm.
leaders, we don't make that space for people. So we overreact, if you will, by
Yeah.
doing what we think we should. But sometimes offering that silence or that space allows others to step in.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Last point, soothe before solving the problem.
Oh boy.
This was so interesting. You know how sometimes we're being set up to hear a certain message. So this was several months ago. I was talking to an executive who just stepped into a new role, leading a brand new team, a team that was brand new to him. And when I asked him how it was going, and he's a strengths-based leader, he said, I'm in the soothing stage with my
Hmm.
team. And he meant it in this beautiful, very honoring way where he said, you know, I already see the problems. I have the fresh eyes to see where the challenges are, and I have the solutions. I can't jump into it. So I'm hearing them out. So I'm affirming them. They're not crazy. They've just been through some big changes. I think of my Sophia, and when she's swept up in big emotions as a 16-month-old, that's no place for her to hear me say anything really,
Yeah.
right? But if I come alongside, get on her level, enter her world by just even a hug and a soothing, ooh, this was tough. That was scary. You really want this and you're not getting it. That meltdown is much shorter than if I were to swoop in with my problem solving.
Yeah.
What bubbles up for you?
Yeah, gosh, I think I'm glad that this is the final one because it's so important as leaders that you allow people to make mistakes because if you tell them what to do or you get them out of the problem, you're not enabling them to find their own muscle, their own skill, their own leadership. You're just telling them what to do, which that makes them more passive in the situation. So,
Mhm.
and it's hard to do it. You just want to help accelerate that for them. So it takes patience. And sometimes you have to be aware of not jumping in and trying to solve. And I think as leaders, I think it's easy to say that. It's super hard to actually do it. And it's
I
a lot more intentional than we give credit to.
I agree. I think it's again what's underneath it is finding that alignment between our intention and impact. As you said, our intention is a good one, right? Let me
Yeah.
swoop in with my solution. Clearly, you don't have it yet, but the impact is that we're really hindering the growth of our people when we do that.
Yeah.
Not easy, but yeah, I think there's a good principle there.
I love it. I love it so much. I think it'd be really helpful for you just to uh, touch each one of those one more time and remind us of the six principles of tantrums to,
Triumphs
excellence,
in the boardroom.
triumphs.
Yes.
That's right.
Love it. Be playful. Focus on strong, not wrong. Express your needs. Celebrate the wins. React, but don't overreact. And soothe before solving the
Yeah.
problem.
It's so good. It really struck me as you were saying those is it's we have a unique perspective because we are the silent partners for people in what they're doing. So we're kind of in the grandmother role where parents are the leaders that are actually in the day to day. And so I think there's so much goodness here for parents and new leaders to really be thinking about these principles and thinking about which one they need to really be more thoughtful and intentional around.
Yeah. And you make a good point. as grandparents, we have grandmothers, we have the privilege of being playful. It's not life and death for us. I remember being a young mom, everything felt very
Yeah.
weighty. But I think that's the beauty of different seasons in life, right? That,
Yeah.
There's so many seasoned leaders all around us. I think it behooves us to lean on them. And it's a reminder for the seasoned leaders to step in and bring that calming presence
Yeah.
when their leaders are.
Yeah. And it's as leaders, as you're coming up, whether you're a new leader or you've been a leader for a few years, it's almost like you can't wait until you get those skills. You can't wait until this next thing. But just like in parenting, you have to enjoy the moments and really be in the moment, whether you're a parent or a grandparent, and think about how do you be more intentional in those moments. So that's what I love about our optics on this, because we have lived through it and we've seen how fast it can go. And we can now kind of look at it from this perspective. So these are great.
Yeah, a quick little redo for you and me as we
Yes.
get to.
So fun. Thank you so much, Joanna. This was
Yeah,
really great. And I love your experience and expertise in thinking about this through a leadership lens.
thank you. I really had fun. I thank you for inviting me to have this conversation. It ultimately makes me a better leader. So thank you.
Awesome. Before we go, tell people you're on LinkedIn. Tell us about your website. If people are interested to learn more about your offerings, tell them a little bit more.
Of course. Thank you. Absolutely. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Joanna Wiesinger. My website is Thrive with Strengths. And I would love to continue the conversation on leadership, whether it's from the childlike wisdom or whatever it is that's on your mind these days.
Awesome. Thank you for bringing your wisdom today. I certainly appreciate you. And thank you for joining us today. Joanna and I are thrilled that you're here. If you feel like somebody needs to hear this, share this episode with them. And that's such a win-win. You show them that you were thinking of them and that you want to invest in them too. So thanks for being here. This is Leaders with Leverage. I'm Susie. And until the next episode, remember to always advocate for yourself. Thank you.